On July 28, 2026, an AI startup called Orchid posted a launch video that went mega viral on Twitter. It features a couple on their anniversary, but the boyfriend forgot about it. The woman, clearly frustrated, vents to her AI assistant Orchid for help. The assistant says it's way ahead of her and sends messages to her boyfriend reminding him of the date. Then it proceeds to book a table for him and get her flowers she likes. He texts, okay, I can do this, and the chatbot says, you can't, that's why I'm here. Orchid tells the woman he's acting like he planned it himself as he compliments the AI for carrying their relationship, and they live happily ever after. How wonderful. Instead of trying to be a better significant other, you can just stay a piece of shit and have AI cuck your girlfriend. What a wonderful world we live in, isn't it? Unsurprisingly, this video generated a massive amount of vitriol, and it's just another one of the many examples of the people building this crap being so incredibly out of touch with the general populace, which will probably lead to its impending collapse. Thank you to Derek Thompson for this great Substack article which helped guide this video. By now, most of us know that AI is in a bubble. A financial bubble is when the asset prices of a certain industry rise to unreasonably high fake levels that do not match the actual value of what's being built. In order to understand just how large this bubble is getting, we need to know what a hyperscaler is and how they're using their money. Hyperscalers are the largest cloud computing and data center providers who have created most of the AI infrastructure. The four biggest hyperscalers are Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, aka Google, and Amazon. Since 2021, these four companies have been pouring an incomprehensible amount of money into AI development and infrastructure. A big reason they could justify this is, well, for one, AI is a race to build the next big thing, and so companies are just trying to get there first, but also because these companies could afford to. The hyperscaler's free cash flow, the cash that a company has left over after paying its day-to-day operations and long-term expenditures, has remained in the green since the beginning of the AI arms race. Just 2 years ago, the four biggest hyperscalers, Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, and Amazon, were generating roughly $210 billion in free cash flow every year. But in 2026, their free cash flow has plummeted to below zero. Of course, not every public company is suffering, because the wealth is being transferred from the hyperscalers to the semiconductor companies, aka the ones actually building the GPUs and chips AI uses. The problem is these hyperscalers need to keep spending. So what are they doing? They're taking on more debt. Here's what that looks like from the Big Four. In order to generate more spending money, public companies will issue bonds, essentially a way for investors to lend money to a company for a set period. The company pays the investor interest at fixed intervals, then the original amount borrowed is paid back to the investor when the bond reaches its maturity date. From 2024 to 2025, the annual volume of bonds issued from hyperscalers went from roughly $20 billion to $110 billion. And in 2026, that number reached $150 billion. Many are now likening this to the dot-com bubble in the late 90s and early 2000s. In an article for Business Insider, Jennifer Soar writes about an analyst at JP Morgan comparing the divergence in the AI trade to communications equipment in 1999. Quote, companies supplying communications equipment began to see a parabolic rise in 1999, while companies making heavy capital investments in the space tumbled from their peaks. The dot-com bubble eventually burst in early 2000, less than a year after that divide was first noticed. What also might be indicative of what's to come is the fact that Microsoft ended June with its worst monthly share loss since the dot-com bubble in 2000. These companies are basically banking on what other reporters accurately call a miracle. The biggest 5 hyperscalers are trying to promise that their revenue will double over the next 3 years while cutting roughly $80 billion in operating expenses. As depreciation expenses soar over the next few years due to all the new buildings and equipment, the expenses spent on sales, general, and administrative sectors must go down at an unprecedented rate. As accounting professor at Purdue University, Kevin Koharki puts it, it just seems like the analysts, in order to keep the operating margins steady or slightly growing, are assuming that whatever depreciation increases by, we're going to see a direct offset through sales, general, and administrative. I can't think of a scenario where that's ever happened before. And this is coming at the same time that we're seeing companies regret cutting their workforces to save revenue, which is causing them to try to rehire all the employees they fired. Market research from Robert Half indicates that roughly 29% to 32% of organizations that cut jobs due to early AI projections have already started restaffing those exact roles. Which begs the question, what the hell do these companies expect to do to live up to those projections? Despite companies rehiring their employees, finding a job in this market can feel impossible. Whether it's ghost jobs or entry-level jobs going extinct, finding an employer who will actually view your resume and give you a chance is like finding a needle in a haystack. If you're someone who's been struggling to make the advances they want in their career, a career coach on today's sponsor, Strawberry.me, could help you. Using a personalized quiz, Strawberry.me connects you with a professional coach that keeps you accountable towards reaching your career goals. And once you're matched with a coach, you will have one-on-one video sessions to assess your current situation. This differs from a typical coach or therapist because instead of just having you talk about how you're feeling or why you feel stuck, they get straight into producing results for you. Your coach will help you get clarity on where exactly you're trying to go with your career and the right choices you need to make to get there. They'll help you identify and overcome blind spots, close skill set gaps, and create a structured plan. So if you know you have the qualifications to get a better paying job, but you just feel lost in a sea of online job slop, you can go to strawberry.me/Cole Hastings, which is the first link in the description, and you'll get 50% off your first coaching session. At the same time these companies are rehiring after layoffs, one country is out AIing us by a huge margin with much less cost to the bottom line. China. If there's one thing China's really good at besides making their cities look like cyberpunk paradises on social media, it's creating scalable, cost-efficient products while accepting thinner margins to gain market share and beat international competition. And their open weight AI model could take a large share of the industry soon. Released on July 27, 2026, Kimi K3 is an open weight model by the Chinese company Moonshot AI. Now, unlike the closed models from OpenAI and Anthropic, Kimi K3 can be downloaded, modified, and run on your own hardware without relying on Moonshot's servers. Because of its efficiency, Kimi K3 can be served at a fraction of the inference cost of many leading frontier models while delivering comparable performance across many benchmarks. Also, can we just pause to laugh at how hilarious graph metrics are sometimes? Like, what the hell does maximizing intelligence per dollar mean? Anyways, China's models are already starting to comprise a huge chunk of AI traffic. According to OpenRouter, Chinese models went from 1.2% of token traffic in 2024 to more than half of it by the summer of 2026, overtaking American models in total volume. Think of the potential consequences of this. Some of America's largest companies are heavily invested in OpenAI and Anthropic. In Q1 2026, other income accounted for 60% of Google, 51% of Amazon, and 27% of Nvidia's profits. Some of those investment gains come from stakes in leading AI companies like Anthropic and OpenAI. If a huge portion of the market shifts to Chinese models, OpenAI and Anthropic could see their revenue shrink, reducing the billions they're currently spending on Nvidia chips, cloud infrastructure, and massive new data centers. But if you want the AI bubble to burst quicker, I mean, that would be a great thing. Speaking of which, let's talk about the next threat to AI: increasing negative sentiment from the public regarding anything related to AI. From 2023 to 2025, the percentage of Americans who said the effects of artificial intelligence will have a very or somewhat positive effect actually increased from 15% to 27%. However, in that same period, those who said it will have a very negative or somewhat negative effect went from 40 to 47%. I wonder why the general populace hates AI so much. Could it be due to the fact that the people building these models have a poor moral compass and only care about growth and profits instead of helping humanity?
You know, I think AI will probably, most likely sort of lead to the end of the world, but in the meantime, there will be great companies created with serious machine learning.
Could it be due to the fact that working class neighborhoods are being torn down to make way for data centers that produce a ridiculous amount of noise pollution and sap up all the water? Or maybe it's the AI content slop to drop shipping pipeline empires it's enabling?
What's going on, guys? Smith here. Today I'm going to show you guys how videos like this, had to mute the music for copyright reasons, make me almost $30,000 give or take every single week on average.
Perhaps it's the way it gaslights or acts like a toddler?
Hey, can you see me?
I can't see you just yet. If you'd like me to see what's going on, you'll need to turn on your camera or give me access.
Okay, I just turned on the camera.
All right, I'm ready. I can see you now. What's going on?
What do I look like?
I'm seeing a person in front of the camera, so I assume that's you.
And then there's what I showed at the beginning, the fact that a lot of AI use cases revolve around disintegrating human connection, critical thinking, and creativity. But perhaps the most egregious use case of them all that really grinds my gears, especially as someone who just published their debut novel, link in the description, is the fact that these AI companies are now trying to destroy rare books to train their models. This scandal actually starts last year in AI's first major copyright settlement. Court records, first reported by the Washington Post, revealed that Anthropic bought millions of physical books to build a searchable database for training its AI models. The internal project, dubbed Project Panama, relied on a process called destructive scanning. Machines removed a book's spine, fed the loose pages through industrial scanners, and then threw away the original copy. Their reasoning? Well, physical, older books are verifiably not AI slop writing, and from what we know about AI training itself on its own slop, that makes human-written books extremely valuable to them. Anthropic was required to pay $3,000 per book, and the majority of authors they stole from were paid. However, what the court documents didn't reveal was how companies were sourcing millions of physical copies in the first place. One possible glimpse came from a report by 404 Media. ISBN DB, best known for maintaining metadata linked to international standard book numbers, appeared to be positioning itself for the AI boom. The company advertised a service that would help AI developers acquire anywhere from 1,000 to 1 million printed books for large language model training, describing it as being built for the, quote, scale AI demands. The web pages were later taken down, and ISBN DB said the service was never launched. So we still don't know how exactly Anthropic and other AI labs were acquiring these books at scale, but this proposal's existence suggests that there was already a market emerging to supply physical books for AI training. The really nefarious part takes place in the present day. This month, Dutch antiquarian bookseller Peter de Vrij received a strange email from a person named Natalia who represented a company called 2077 AI. She said the company wanted to place a fairly large order of books and attached a spreadsheet containing more than 3,000 ISBNs asking for matching titles, price quotes, and shipping estimates to China. At first, the bookseller dismissed the request as spam and barely read past the opening lines. It wasn't until weeks later, after being contacted by a journalist investigating the inquiry, that he realized it was connected to the AI industry. He later shared the email and spreadsheet with Fortune, revealing a list of 3,001 mostly academic titles, published between 2020 and 2021 by publishers including Elsevier, Wiley, Routledge, Oxford University Press, and Emerald Publishing. According to the bookseller, several other Dutch antiquarian book dealers received the same request and likewise assumed it was a scam. Yep, these companies are no longer pursuing just mass-marketed books, they're targeting rare antique books. It almost feels like a second attempt at the burning of the Library of Alexandria out here. AI companies so desperate for valuable human-made data are resorting to removing antique book spines, feeding the pages through scanners, and throwing away the text, never to be read again by another set of eyes. Now that should tell you something. Despite all the talk of synthetic data replacing human knowledge, the industry's most valuable resource is still authentic human writing, and it's becoming increasingly scarce. That's where things get strange. On one hand, AI companies are scouring the world for ever rarer sources of human knowledge because they still need fresh, high-quality data. On the other hand, investors are betting that AI is on the verge of becoming intelligent enough to improve itself, eliminating the need for humans altogether. Those are two very different stories, and whether the second one actually comes true may determine whether today's AI spending boom ends up looking visionary or like one of the biggest bubbles in tech history. Of course, like all of my videos, I'm gonna try to leave this one on a positive note. There are already signs of pushback from authors, courts, regulators, and ordinary people that could keep this bubble from growing even larger or soften the damage if it eventually bursts. Between May 2024 and June 2025, roughly $162 billion worth of proposed US data center projects were either blocked or delayed by local opposition, according to investor and writer Will Manidis. Across the country, nearly 200 community groups have been coordinating legal challenges and public campaigns against new facilities, and one survey found that about 2/3 of contested projects were either stopped or significantly delayed. Do not give in to slop. Resist slop as if your life depends on it. Flesh out ideas in your own brain, sit with uncertainty, organize your thoughts in a way that helps you understand them by reading real texts and writing without the assistance of AI. Do the hard, friction-filled work required to sustain connection, critical thinking, and a deep sense of purpose. Otherwise, your complicity will ensure that the AI companies win. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to watch another video about the AI bubble, it's going to be on screen right here. And go do human things. Go talk to humans. Go create things that require no sort of computed assistance that regurgitates slop in a way that makes it no longer human. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.